So, so we have a solution. Okay, this is the solution. This is my solution. Other people are gonna come and help y'all. All right. This is the solution that I got. Okay. So I talk about this little thing. So, man, you got to solve shit, right? Move on. So we have a Raspberry Pi 3. It's a small computer. We have a solar panel. Now, graves have been desecrated and sacred sites have been violated. But, you know, we mourn the tragedy and we pray, you know. But there's a saying in Islam. What is it? Pray and tie your camel too. What does that mean to you? What does that mean? It means pray for resolution and peace and solutions, and then pray with your actions. They said that on the microphone the other day.
Yeah.
Pray with your actions. Don't just sit there and, you know, I mean, you got to tie the prayers to the prayer pole. You got to pray to God, but you got to. That's the pray. Your camel stays in the same. You know, you go to the restaurant, and your camel, or your horse. You pray that the horse will stay at the restaurant. So this is I'm trying to explain this, but and then you just say, well, you know, I got this rope that God gave me, so I'm going to tie my horse to, or tie the camel to the stick, the pole. So the rope that God gave you helps the camel stay the pole. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So solutions, nonviolent solutions, peaceful solutions. Technology can be liberatory, and the design of technology is political. So the idea here is to follow up on what's happened and just start making a case for court. Right, a crime has been committed.
Yes.
But we have to be using our heart and mind to resolve it. It's not just mind, and it's not just heart. One or the other only will. If it's too much heart, you lose rationality. You know, you lose the capacity to act quickly, and therefore you become incapacitated, and they win. Too much mind, you're too cold, calculating, and things just fall apart socially. Like a family will break apart if a man takes too much of a role. It's like, I'm the leader, you know, it's wartime and time to call the 7 tribes together and rally the troops. Well, y'all aren't trained for what, you know, like they're doing some warrior shit over there. And it's like, they don't know what they're up against. They can't even run across the camp. Look how fat they are. At the Red Warrior camp, they think they're playing war games and they're 50 pounds overweight. They're going up against Navy SEALs. Blackwater people, Blackwater Navy SEALs, mercenaries that were trained in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's the same machinery that's right. You know, the drones overhead, the jamming equipment, that's all from Iraq and Afghanistan in the war on terror. And it's being trained on us, on you. So to fight back, you have to take the tactics that work. And social media, good social media tactics and quality production, video and content, together with good programming and technology design, is a non-violent way of getting data for court. And this is federal court, not state. And actually the UN's involved, you know. The UN has expressed, you know, the desire for the federal government, in other words, the United States government, to stop doing what they're doing. And so in a sense, this is an international issue, just like with Palestine, Gaza, and the West Bank. The reason why Jerusalem is being bulldozed, just like, you know, just like over there, right? East Jerusalem, Muslim sites, the Dome of the Rock, for example, which is the third most holy site in Islam. They want to destroy it and build a new temple, the third temple. they're not going to. And if they do, all the Jews die. Every one of them. You know, all of them. So they think the Holocaust was bad. They're gone. Every single fucking Jew's gone. I tell you that. If they destroy the Dome of the Rock, they're all dead. And I know that. My father tutored the man who shot the Pope, John Paul II. I know things that I do not want to know. I had a dark secret my whole life. Mehmet Ali Ajka in Turkey. So, you know, and it's like that. That's been something that has driven me crazy. But he tutored me in math. He could have been a student. You know, he could have been a scholar or a programmer or a business person, but instead he got sucked into, you know what, you look on Wikipedia, they say the KGB did it. His autobiography said it was Iran. I know it was the CIA.
Yep.
So, yeah, anyhow, that's the little backstory. Back to the solar thing. You know, I saw in the Guardian this newspaper that Greenpeace was giving GPS motion triggered cameras to a tribe in the Amazon to record logging, and for them the sacred sites or the trees. You know, if they cut the trees, then the same thing that you're feeling happens to them. So Greenpeace was coming in and basically giving fairly cheap equipment to the tribe to use their own tactics, basically empowering them with just like, you know, horses or certain kinds of guns were used in war in the 19th century and 18th century by the Lakota, to try to protect their land, and ultimately they win the spirit and mind of people over time. We're talking over centuries, because that's a light, you know, kind of more gentle tactic. And so now it's people want truth, and they want to be able to hear stories, and the stories are going to be inspired by prayer. The stories are going to be told through channeling God and Mother Earth, and that's the storytelling and the nonviolent, peaceful, feminine elder women, or like the sort of the spirit of the elder women, I believe here, given the hope that they now have a friend who can program, and work with technology, you know, can give some hope. And the idea will be, you know, let's just keep going, you know.
You know, I always like this one quote, and I've lived off that quote for a long time. It was, I can't remember who wrote it, but I remember it. It says, activism without spirituality is just an angry mob.
Right.
And see, spirituality, that is something real important to me, because it took me 3 years to really realize, you know, what being, you know, humble is. Going through what I went through within the past 3 years, fighting pipelines, protecting Mother Earth. And, you know, I have to say protecting, because we're not protesters, or we're not protesting. We're protecting. We're protectors protecting. And, you know, going through so much that I did with the first pipeline fight and coming to this one, it's two different fights, but it's still for the same purpose.
What are the two fights, though?
The first one was the Cakesale pipeline fight.
So what happened then?
Okay, that one was international. I mean, it was from one country to another country, so it was like kind of all in the president's hands.
Yeah.
And we just had to get to the president, okay?
Right.
So, yeah, he rejected it. But throughout that, we had a camp.
So you had a camp in Rosebud, right?
Yeah, we had a camp, a resistance camp, and it was a spiritual camp.
Right.
And it was called Owáyawa, which is shielding the people. And that camp was up for 18 months until, Obama rejected it. And so we stayed there. There's times when I was there by myself. There's times there's two of us. There's times when during the wintertime the water froze. We couldn't even drink water the whole day. I mean, we just went through so much that everything I went through, I'm appreciative for every little thing right now. I learned how to be humble, but spiritually, I was always told by my grandparents, always pray and always to forgive and never use violence and anger to get a message across. And so and then I'm the type that I get mad easy, and I just strike out. I don't know how to argue. I'm not a public speaker. I don't know how to speak good. So I'm just like straight up,
Sure.
And so I've been working on that. I've been
Sure.
just calm. I keep myself calm. I pray a lot. But yes, the other day what happened was it just like
Coffee?
it just totally. I guess 3 years of just built up in me, and so I was like out there, and I started arguing with one of the workers. I yelled at the workers. I was just so I never do that, I never would.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and then I ended up getting maced with one of my friends, and I just kept going. I helped my friend out, but I just kept going. I wanted them guys to leave because they were destroying Mother Earth. They were raping her, and they're the ones breaking the law because we were told until the junction hearing, all construction is stopped.
Right.
And so in my mind, I thought, okay, yeah, I trust them. They're not going to do that. But no, on the weekend, Saturday, here they are, plowing through Mother Earth, breaking her apart over some sacred sites, which I knew they were there, but I didn't know exactly where they were. Till later, I found out they even pulled out some stakes that they were marking the sites. So that made me feel bad after I got done. I was like, I felt really high. I felt good. But I came down again because I myself walked on there and I was walking on sacred sites. I came back and I just cried and prayed. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to walk on. I didn't know. So I did something good I wanted to do, but at the same time, I did the same thing they did.
Right.
I just walked all over.
Right.
So that's just me. I'm just going to my spiritual.
Yeah. But the thing is, and I'm going to say this about the oil and the climate change. We're all complicit, right? We're driving to a protest about oil.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? Give me a break. So we're all in it, and that's the thing. We're living in this fight, or we're living in this camp to fight an oil pipeline, and everyone has a car.
One thing I can say, I don't have a car.
Well, but
So
I'm running a computer that I'm running a computer that's based on the power, the energy that's charging this battery is most likely from coal.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, this is a coal powered video.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's natural gas, maybe it's nuclear, less than 1% solar. So even that alone, the shift, I was thinking about trying to do as much as possible with this computer and the phone with the solar panels. And then there's the wind generator. If we can actually, in this camp, basically boycott all fossil fuel energy, shift to the sort of I'm from Atlanta, Dr. King is from my town, and Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., sat at the intersection, is oftentimes held up as this great, nonviolent, perfect, saint type dude. But I'll tell you, man, the civil rights movement, particularly in the South, had a whole spectrum. You had terroristic, threats against the Klan. People like judges and stuff, like Black Panthers and this guy named Huey Newton. So there was a Klan protest, or there's a Klan rally April 23rd in Stone Mountain. It's the Confederate Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore was built by a Klan member, by the way.
I researched that, and I found out it's based upon the KKK.
Exactly. So, and there was a Klan rally, but in Stone Mountain, it's a lot less veiled. On the side of that mountain are General Lee, General Sherman, Jefferson Davis, the founding fathers of the Confederacy. And in the South, they have no problem, honestly. They don't care. I mean, and with the rise of Trump, they don't even care even more. So there was a counter protest, and the Huey Newton Gun Club showed up. And I saw it on social media for months before. There's a thing called All Out Atlanta, and basically people are coming carrying guns, ready to kill Klan members. And so I mean, that's what Dr. King dealt with, and that's what Malcolm X dealt with. That's what the NAACP and the SCLC dealt with in the South. During the Civil Rights Movement, you had a lot of people that just got back from World War II, and they knew how to use guns. Right? They knew how to use weapons, and they're warriors. Many times they were special forces before even the term existed, and they were black. Here you got just this last couple months, Dallas and Minneapolis. Guy shot woman, his partner, mother, films it on Facebook Live, puts it up there, live streams it. A trained military veteran who's African American, dresses in a dashiki, gets on social media and snipes 5 cops, and they kill him with a robot. Dallas was the step where I said this has become thing I've seen all along. It's what happened in the Arab Spring in the Middle East. It starts with people just getting in the streets, but eventually, if you have enough people that have been trained, they're going to do stuff. And the real thing is, you've got to fight that energy. You've got to do kind of a jihad, like a spiritual jihad, not this like radical political Islamic jihad.
Exactly.
The real jihad is a spiritual struggle inside. It's not this is not, you're fighting your nafs, is what they call them. Nafs are basically sinful, these sort of like nafs are your bad part of you. So the nafs is like you fight the inner struggle. Yeah, you can say there's political jihad. There is definitely. I mean, it's called defensive and offensive jihad. If the land is being, if in Islam, if your society, your tribe or your country or your state or your people are being threatened, it's not a pacifist religion. Islam is not, like, don't get me wrong, Islam is not pacifist, particularly in the traditional or the sort of widely accepted Sunni and Shiite versions. It is not pacifist. It shouldn't be. Islam is a political system as well as a religion, as well as a spiritual framework. It's a comprehensive way of living. And the difference between Judeo-Christianity after the Reformation and the Islamic finance and economics, because that's what it really all comes down to, I think, at the end of the day, politics and socioeconomics. On top of that and underneath it is spirituality, right? But just the basic transition from not charging interest, right, on loans and being able to loan out money and borrow money and loan money and make money loaning money. In the Middle Ages in Europe, that was called usury. It was a sin, cardinal sin. And the only people that could do it were Jews. So that's why there was so much anti-Semitism, and that's actually why the Holocaust happened, because the Jews ran the banks. Jews ran the banks not because they wanted to run the banks or whatever, but because the Catholic Church decided that the people that were, Christian or whatever, were not going to run the banks because maybe they wanted to run the banks. I don't know. But the bottom line was that in the Reformation and everything that came after that, the rise of capitalism, 500 years of that, you got this explosion of more and more and more sophisticated ways of basically making money out of people that don't have money. And the thing with Islamic finance and the world of Islam is that you can't charge interest. It's a sin. It's called haram. Halal and haram. Halal is okay. Haram is forbidden. So charging interest is haram. In Islamic finance, you can't charge interest. So that's good for Mother Earth, because if you can't borrow money, or if you can't try to just make all this technology, it's kind of more slower. We need a slower finance. And I don't know. So getting back to that, I think it's the point is that there's like with these sites and this pipeline, the story needs to be told about how would you live today, 2016, as a Native person trying to honor the old ways, but doing it in a new way. That's now we all have cars and now we have phones, and how do we use that to make a transition? Because we all need to make the transition globally
Yes.
to a sustainable way that's not going back to banging rocks, and trying to hunt a buffalo with your bare hands, right? I mean, or the metaphorical equivalent. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have the technology, it lets people live better lives than ever before, more people than ever before. And you need it to sustain 7 billion people, 8 billion people, 9 billion people. Do you want to see them all die? If you take away the technology, they all die. If you take away the heat of elderly women that are on life support, or if the woman's on life support and she's 95, and you say, we're going to cut the power, she'll die. So it's kind of like we have to think about that intersection between technology and appropriate use. Thank you.
Yeah.
You can just put it there.
Can you use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll be right.
Yeah.